Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Macadocious. Ladies and gentlemen, we are just days away from the midterm elections, an extremely important day, not just for Americans, but for patriots worldwide. There's lots riding on this. Yet, the culture war has long been underway, particularly being played out on the battlefield of social media, and I'm no different. Every morning I wake up, I get my coffee, do my thing, and I get online, check my emails, respond to a few of them, do the same thing on Twitter and see what's up. I wanted to include you in a little bit of highlight footage today from today's Twitter battle. Yeah, it doesn't seem very nice at all, huh? Everyone's just tweeting. Nobody's listening. Everyone just firing cheap shots at each other. Well, everyone's got something to crow about. All right, hey, John, how are we doing in the polls?
Up and down.
And down.
Well, I guess that's to be expected. We'll just leave those polls alone. But we do have some Q here from November 2nd, 2386, 54 minutes after the hour of 12. We get this cool little picture right here. And this is from the Young American Black Leadership Summit, part of that Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's gig. This was at the White House last week. And this was really cool. I got a chance to check out a couple of videos from this. And I have to say, whether you're maybe a Republican or a conservative or maybe a former Democrat, independent, libertarian, somewhere in between, I will say this, at least in the conservative world, the future is in good hands. A lot of really, really smart young people turning out for this. And it was really neat to see because, you know, you don't see Soros pumping everybody out on a bus and giving them $86 and a box lunch to show up. These guys were actually funding out of pocket for each other and looking out for each other. And it was just, look, I just had nothing but good things to say about it. I really enjoyed watching them and hearing them speak. And, of course, we had the Walk Away campaign doing their thing. So it was really, really neat. And these guys got some pretty killer MAGA hats going on. This dude looks like he got it signed from the man himself. It says, where we go one, we go all on the side. Nice, bro. Looking good. And the guy behind him here, he's like, no, screw that. He's like, that stuff washes off. So he stitched it into his hat. He's like, I'm not playing around. This thing's going to stick around. So nice. And this guy over here, he's got a nice classic baseball hat. That's my kind of baseball hat right there with the rounded bill. Forget that flat bill stuff. Makes me look like a duck. And I have a small head and a big nose. Q says, ask yourself a very simple question. Why is the fake news media continually expending resources to defame, debunk, and cast as a conspiracy for, as they say, a nobody who started on 4chan? Well, it's a good question to ask yourself, I think, continuously. Look, we've seen from way, way back in the day, some of you guys will remember John Teeter was sort of this internet phenomenon. They never tried to shut that down. There were lots of different, there have been, phenomenons like this that have started online, and I've never seen anybody go after anybody so hard as they have QAnon. So it must tell you something, and it's clearly threatening. We're going to see more signs of that this week, and I think it's going to ramp up as we get into these last couple days, turning around to the home stretch towards midterms. Q says, why did the fake news media attempt to cast blame of recent events on the Q movement? Well, we all know that, right? Because we're growing and we're paying attention and we know what's up. We are probably more experts on things like FISA than most people that we know. And we also realize that we don't know it all yet, but we're constantly putting it together, and that scares the hell out of them. Was it an attempt to silence? Yes, and Q went away for a little bit because, let's face it, things got a little bit heavy. The boards were getting hit pretty hard. It just wasn't very advantageous, in my opinion, for Q to be posting. And of course, there's always going to be those people that doubt. Whenever Q takes, 5-10 days off, something like that, you're always going to get the doubters coming out. And look, you're welcome to doubt Q. You're welcome to feel however you want about Q. You really, really are. But all I can say is they're going after Q hard. What does that tell you? And here's a sample from the past 7 days. And as you can see, another onslaught of fake news media. Now, this covers a few different things, and we're going to kick down with a couple of headlines here. Here's one from the Huffington Post, Pittsburgh synagogue shooting suspect Robert Bowers has long trail of anti-Semitism. All right, well, this strikes me as very strange considering a really good portion of conservatives tend to be pro-Israel. So anti-Semitism, although it does exist, I just don't know that I see it so much in the conservative world. Maybe not so much in the hardcore Rhino Republican world. I don't want to polarize or name groups or anything like that. Look, haters are all over the place and they have all kinds of names and whatnot. But if there's one thing that I've noticed about President Trump himself. Anti-Semite is probably not one word that comes up. So you see what's up. They're trying to turn this on everybody. And it's another hit piece from the Huffington Post, which is really some of the trashiest of the trash. And speaking of trash, we've got Newsweek here. QAnon. Nevada Republican congressional candidate promotes conspiracy theory about the deep state. A Nevada congressional nominee promoted the QAnon conspiracy theory earlier this month. Can you just say QAnon? Can you stop with the conspiracy theory? We've got more proof than any of you. Republican candidate Joyce Bentley posted a 9-minute clip that claims the deep state occupies the highest levels of power and includes people who participate in a dark and deeply sinister death cult with a strong reliance on symbolism and numerology with levels of cruelty unimaginable to all right-thinking people. So you see what's up. They're kind of going straight for the jugular when they do this sort of thing. They go for the most extreme possible situation and scenario, and they try to clown it because that's the hardest one to believe. And of course, we know that this is very plausible, but you have to know all the things leading up to it to realize why. The video claims that the deep state has achieved almost total influence over the media and that Saudi Prince Alawid bin Talal funded former President Barack Obama's education, Media Matters reported. Okay, so far it's true. So you see what's up. They're going after anybody that's ever posted anything with QAnon or anything like that. And here we go with the hit pieces. Now we're over here on the Daily Dot. So you can get a dot every day. 1 year later, has the QAnon movement finally fizzled out? I don't feel fizzly. Do you feel fizzly? I don't feel fizzly. Well, this was written by none other than Mike Rothschild. Nice name. Swedish. For a conspiracy theory that's made it all the way to the White House, QAnon had an inauspicious start. 1 year ago today, the post that introduced the world to the supposed anonymous Donald Trump insider who calls himself Q was just one out of thousands on the 4chan message board. It was indistinguishable from the rest of the noise, a torrent of racist rants and memes. But something about this one particular post stood out. It was the first of well over 2,000 from the poster who soon went by Q Clearance Patriot. All right, so this goes on to talk about, the funny thing about this article is that he doesn't really lie. He just tells you essentially what QAnon talks about and kind of puts this isn't that stupid kind of tone on it, which is the way they get away with this because they know that it is true and they know that they're going to get their lies proven these days. So thanks, Mike. But the one thing that Mike did get right was the very last line. It would be foolish to count the movement, its followers, or its anonymous avatar down for good. Well, you got that part right, Mike Rothschild. Let's move on to the next one here from Matt Taibbi on Rolling Stone, who says, will QAnon go down as the dumbest story of the year? Well, it might have until you wrote this, Matt. The political quackery doesn't just create an alternate reality using existing conspiracy theories. It ties them all together. Now, I'm not going to read all this either, but I do want to point this one out in particular. The QAnon legend assigns every terrible thing in history to a blue state plot. Well, that's not true. Liberals killed JFK Jr. to make way for the Clintons, shot Reagan, murdered Seth Rich, organized lots of kid-buggering operations. Pizzagate was just the tip of the iceberg, pulled off the Las Vegas massacre, and allied themselves with an array of villains from Julian Assange to John Benet Ramsey's killer. Into this mass rave of evil comes Donald Trump, a fat Christ sent down from right-winger heaven to clean the temples. A fat Christ sent down from right-winger heaven to clean the temples. Good job, Rolling Stone, alienating just about every Christian in America. Well played, Rolling Stone. So you see what's up. Q says all for a LARP. Attack those who threaten you the most. And that's exactly my point about QAnon. Whether you trust QAnon, you don't really trust the plan, you're not really feeling it. I don't imagine it's all perfect, but all I know is this. Everyone hates QAnon. That must mean something's up, right? Are we subject to the Hatch Act? Well, we kind of talked about that, and I don't really think so. And, not to mention Q has been down for some days. And really what Q has been posting over these last couple days, I don't see any violations of the Hatch Act, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. Think executive branch / NSA, etc. Acceptable, turn on comms, filter applied, legal analysis. Cannot point to any particular candidate or party prior to November 7th. We the people, fight, fight, fight. Your vote matters. We are in this together. This movement has no skin color. Attempts to label all those who challenge their narrative as racist, white supremacists, will fail predictable Q. Yeah, imagine this. When they see these votes pour in from just about everybody, and they see what the real truth is and who's voting for what, they're going to see exactly that truth doesn't have a skin color, doesn't have any kind of religion, doesn't have any kind of color at all. It's flat out truthy. And that's what we're going to get. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about this executive branch and the NSA in the next post here, but let's go ahead and move on to the next post. Post 2387, 7 minutes after the hour of 1 p.m. This Anon is responding to another Anon on 8chan, and that was in regards to this tweet from Jack Dorsey from Twitter. And he tweeted this on the 1st. Any apps out there that allow you to take screenshots of text and then convert them to text? Well, why would you want to do that, Jack? And that's exactly what this Anon asks. I wonder why he wants this. I think we can be quite sure he wants to find a way to ban these memes. And that's exactly what this Anon responds by saying, because memes go around his censorship algorithms. And then here's some proof here from this. This is a couple different Q posts. 2145 from September 10th. 2183 from September 16th, and this came from an actual post from the 18th of September. And this is talking about preparing your memes. Non-NSA tech today cannot read or filter. And so we know that. And that's why memes are so powerful, because you can get truth out with a picture. You can be funny. You can make your point, and nobody can ban it. There's a reason why we encourage memes so much. There's a reason why we came here to drop. Yeah, think of Q as a needle in a haystack here. And if Q changes that trip code, then it's another needle in another haystack. There is a reason why they are all working overtime to build code to censor and defend against memes. Reread drops regarding memes, and that's these right here. All just a coincidence, directed at Q, fire when ready. Okay, so I'll start another meme thread, and boy, I love doing that. You guys come through with the memes. If you're not following me on Twitter at IPOT 1776, please do. You can snag any memes you find on these threads. They're absolutely brilliant. I love what you guys do. So keep it up, and it looks like we're ready for another volley. So I will start on that today. For now, let's move on to the next post. Post 2388. 35 minutes after the hour of 1 p.m. We have this graphic right here. Let me blow it up for you. And this graphic basically pits side by side this previous Q post that we read along with the Hatch Act that we talked a little bit about yesterday. And you'll see here in the green, are we subject to the Hatch Act? Think executive branch / NSA, etc. And here are some of the agencies that fall under the Hatch Act: the Office of the DNI, CIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, NSA, NSC, National Security Division, Criminal Division, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Secret Service, Office of Criminal Investigation, Office of Investigative Programs, and Office of Law Enforcement is the one that Q particularly points out here. And then we get this other part here in the red: acceptable to turn on comms, filter applied, legal analysis, cannot point to any particular candidate or party prior to November 7th. We the people fight, da. So I think Q is saying they're not in violation of the Hatch Act. It looks like they've already gotten some legal analysis regarding this. And then you see down here in the Hatch Act, understanding how the Hatch Act applies to you. And over on the left here where my mouse is, it talks about what you may not do. But Q is highlighting here some things that you may do, particularly these four right here. May register and vote as they choose, may assist in voter registration drives, may attend political fundraising functions, may attend political rallies and meetings. And then over here, may express opinions about candidates and issues. If the expression is political activity, however, i.e. activity directed at the success or failure of a political party, candidate for partisan political office, or partisan political group, then the expression is not permitted when the employee is on duty in any federal room or building while wearing a uniform or official insignia or using any federally owned or leased vehicle. Okay, so I think Q is particularly outlining that. Whether or not Q was laying low because of a Hatch Act, I'm not so sure. But all we know is that Q backed off anyway. But I don't think the Q is violating the Hatch Act. This seems to show that they know exactly what they're doing. And now we see over here in the Q post, Q asks, why did select senior members of the Democratic Party, 6 of them, send a letter to Don McGahn in early October outlining Hatch Act violations regarding Q? FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, works in this situation. And Don McGahn is a lawyer and special counsel to President Trump. And he was also part of the Federal Election Committee. Not anymore, but he previously worked in there. So Don McGahn would know. So it looks like we've got 6 Democrats sending a letter to Don McGahn, and they were probably using the Freedom of Information Act. And there's been a group now that has requested for those letters because we'd like to see who sent those letters. And that also falls under the Freedom of Information Act. So maybe we'll start seeing those in the next couple of days. I'm not really sure. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to muddy that up for a few days. But it looks like people obviously in Washington are paying attention to Q. Why would they go so hard talking about the Hatch Act regarding Q if they didn't think that Q was valid? So this to me seems like really, really good news. It shows that obviously what's going on here with Q must be working. It's got the Democrats panicking. Otherwise, I don't think they would bother with this letter to Don McGahn. I don't think they would really care if it was just a LARP, right? I want to say thanks to JB on Twitter at KN3GEK, who says, SPM, I would like to offer an alternate view regarding the Q post about the Hatch Act. Remember that a number of CIA employees running for Congress. They are doing so in violation of the Hatch Act and may be prosecuted for it. Good call, JB. Thanks for that. And I will turn you on to this post here, 2044, to illustrate that from August 31st, where Q says they want the keys to the kingdom. And we had a couple of links right here. Now, we're not going to go deep into this. I just want to prove JB's point because he's right. We had this story about here's from the Chicago Tribune. Postal Service admits ex-CIA's officers' personnel file released in human error. And this was this Democrat, Abigail Spanberger, a former CIA officer challenging Representative Dave Bratt, Republican of Virginia, calling it a human error that it will address by changing procedures for public information requests. So it looks like the Postal Service somehow doxed this lady, and it was a really weird story. And of course, this wasn't okay to do either, but we found out that she was former CIA. Now, I am going to leave this link for you here from the Washington Post, believe it or not, the Daily 202, ex-CIA officers running for Congress as Democrats. And of course, it talks about this Abigail Spanberger, Alyssa Slotkins, Jeff Beals. There's a few other ones too. So I'll leave this for you below, especially if you haven't voted yet. You can see who's in your area, if there's anybody you need to be concerned about. But yeah, we definitely do have some former clowns. Thanks, JB. So now I'm not sure how these say they're ex-CIA officers. I'm not so sure. A couple of them are. And that, of course, may very well be a violation of the Hatch Act. I'm not sure if they're all in violation or not, but it is definitely worth looking into. And I thought it was a great point. So thanks for that. Post 2389, 56 minutes after the hour of 1 p.m. We get this time link. Q says, never forget Q. And it takes us back. We actually talked about this some months ago when Q made Time's 25 most influential people on the internet, made this list, and all sorts of famous people like these guys, BTS, Korean boy band here. Some of them I know, some of them I don't. I know Rihanna. I don't know them. I don't know her. I know him. I don't know them. Anyway, there's Kanye. I know him, kind of. All right, so some of these people I know, some of them I don't. And looks like this kid, what does he do? Oh, he reviews toys. Nice. What a gig you got going on. God, dog, what are you, 7? All right, and this kid, I think he is famous for being a white guy who pretends to be a black guy. And there's Matt Drudge. I don't know who that is. There we go. Q. Q, you're looking handsome. Although I kind of hate that haircut, just saying. So we talked about this a while ago, and I think Q is just implying that Q would not make a list like this if there wasn't any kind of influence coming from Q. In the next post, we see 2390. 13 minutes after the hour of 4, we get this here. Why doesn't the media remember this? Yeah, and I actually remember when this happened. Trump being given the Ellis Island Award for contributing to the conditions of inner city black use, standing alongside Muhammad Ali and Rosa Parks. Yeah, Democrats don't pass that one around a lot, do they? No, that sure would hurt their narrative. Q says there's truth in memes. Truth that destroys the fake news narrative. House of Cards, Q. Anybody who knows me has been following me on Twitter or whatnot, and I think probably a lot of you are like me. I love memes because, yeah, just that. You get hit with a dose of truth, and you can do it without having to write this long spiel, you can just show everybody exactly what's up. And sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? And of course, I'll tell you what, the left is terrible at memes. They pretty much just make a meme of fat Trump and fat Putin and throw them on a horse and call it a day. Where we actually are kicking down with some real cold, hard truth. And this was the fact. The fact is that they loved Trump back in the day. Funny thing is, this particular NBC were the ones that loved President Trump back in the day. Now all of a sudden they hate him because he ran against Hillary, huh? Well, we see more of this in 2391, 25 minutes after the hour of 4 p.m. Is Trump a racist? If your answer is yes, then you have been successfully brainwashed by MSM. And look at that, Jesse Jackson. And oh, there's the Reverend Al, not so Sharpton, shaking hands. Q says the truth will set you free. Well, Al Sharpton came out against this crew just the other day saying these guys were just a bunch of Uncle Toms and blah, 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 blah. By the way, Uncle Tom was the one who could read Al. Well, you see what's up. Back in the day, he was the buddy, but then he went against the machine, and all of a sudden he wasn't everybody's buddy. And now nobody likes President Trump. Or do they? Let's move on to the next post. Post 2392, 42 minutes after the hour of 4 p.m., we get this New York Times link. And Q says, cross-reference blue areas with illegal immigrant high population zones. You might be shocked what you discover. The real truth about why Democrats depend on illegal immigrants and why they care more about them than you. Hashtag facts matter. Q. Well, it takes you to this from the New York Times. And as you can see, this is pretty red. This is an extremely detailed map of the 2016 election. As you can see, it is overwhelmingly red. But like Q says, if you look at all these blue areas, they tend to be in port cities or border cities. You got the south of Texas here, southern Arizona, New Mexico, of course, all of Southern California, and even up north in the border here to New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Miami, Florida. Up there a little bit, even near the Canadian border there. Maybe they just got tired of being Raptors fans. Who knows? But you can see what's up, right? Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about this in the next post where Q adds this picture on here. And this is from a Twitter handle, post 2393, 2 minutes after the hour of 5. Q adds this on. Amazing what you discover when you research for yourself. God bless you, Patriots. And that shows you this graphic here. And let me take you over to this guy's Twitter. This is Zackattack at the Great Storm on Twitter, who says, well, I'll be damned. And he finds this. Now, this picture is actually from the Washington Post. Estimated percentage of undocumented immigrants. And of course, if you A and B them there, the blue areas are very similar. So I think we get an idea, right? It looks like the Democrat vote turns out to be the illegal immigrant vote. And I'm pretty sure that none of you were really questioning that at this point. But now you know. Post 2394, 19 minutes after the hour of 5 p.m. We get this Twitter link here. Q says nothing to see here. Q, and it takes you to the Senate Judiciary's Twitter that announces today Chairman Chuck Grassley referred to Judy Munro-Leighton to the Justice Department for investigation for making material false statements to the committee during the course of its investigation. And it leaves you a link to this right here, and I'll leave this for you here. This is to General Sessions and Director Wray. And I'm not going to read this whole thing for you. I just want to point out that basically, so this lady steps forward saying that she was raped by Kavanaugh. She's got this letter, and they're now questioning the validity of this letter. And now the lady came out and flat out said she was lying about it. And so here's the letter referring her, but then this is the letter that she evidently sent. Now, I don't know much about handwriting or anything like that, but it seems a little inconsistent from what I could tell, especially towards the end. It seemed to change a little bit. But there you go. There's the letter. And then this is it in typed form, talking about how Kavanaugh raped her. Turned out this lady was from Kentucky, and she wasn't even in the area, and she was just making this up to get attention. And I can sum it up here just on the Twitter, where they post here, under questioning by committee investigators, Miss Munro-Leighton admitted, contrary to her prior claims, that she had not been sexually assaulted by Judge Kavanaugh and was not the author of the original Jane Doe letter. Okay, so this originally went to Kamala Harris. Now, could it have been that somebody working for Kamala Harris penned this letter? We're not sure, but she's saying it wasn't her. Miss Munro-Leighton confessed to committee investigators that she just wanted to get attention. It was a tactic, and that was just a ploy. Potential violations of federal law include 18 U.S.C., making false statements and obstruction. Committee investigations in support of the judicial nomination process are an essential part of the committee's constitutional role. Okay, so this is pretty interesting stuff. We get this weird letter, and it looks like they were just making kind of a Hail Mary attempt to go after Kavanaugh. So I'll let you look at this if you like. Since it's already proven to be debunked, I don't want to go way into it because it just seems to be a fool's errand at that point when we already know that this wasn't true. But evidently this was referred to Kamala Harris. So it wouldn't be surprised if she was involved. There it is right there. There's the letter addressed to Kamala Harris. So like I said, just another Hail Mary that failed. So good on you, Senator Chuck Deep State. Your ass is Grassley, putting the smack down and referring this Judy Monroe for investigations. Very good. They deserve exactly everything that they get, putting that poor man through all that. Q says nothing to see here. And then we got this post here, 2395. 37 minutes after the hour, 7 p.m., we get a Twitter status to Lisa Mae Crowley. And she says, speaking tonight at the rally about Dems and why they want illegal aliens coming to our country, real Donald Trump said, what do they, being the Dems, really want? They want them to vote. Sound familiar? And then it just shows these maps that we were looking at. She looks like she's got a couple other ones here. Let's take a look at this one. Oh, sorry. Back you up a little bit. There we go. Let's see if I can zoom in on it now. There we go. 2016 electoral map. We saw this. We see all the blue areas, right? Sanctuary cities, counties, and states. And boy, oh boy, it's just straight on legit, isn't it? 2016 electoral map. Sorry, I'm trying to get that out of the way. So you can see what's up. These are illegal immigrants that are voting. And that's exactly why this border flooding thing is going on. And we all know it. And congratulations again for the nod, Lisa Mae Crowley. She does great work over there if you're not following her. Q says, plus MS-13/ISIS reinforcements for wet work. Yeah, and if you ask me, I mean, this might as well be the same thing, MS-13 and ISIS. I mean, they're made up of a lot of the same people. Reread drops regarding MS-13. And then we get this Twitter link here to Matt Gaetz. And he posts breaking footage in Honduras giving cash to women and children to join the caravan and storm the U.S. border at election time. Soros, U.S.-backed NGOs, time to investigate the source. And let me go ahead and just play this here. I'm just going to see if I can just magnify it a little bit. But this guy passing out, let me see if I can pause it. There we go. This guy right here in the white t-shirt, he's paying people and they're in line here. But if you notice right there, he's packing. What's up? This guy doesn't look like any kind of federal official. Who is this guy? Why is he packing? And why is he paying all these people? And this is something that, I guess in my own personal opinion, if you are on social media and you are debating your whatever, your friends that are either on the left or whatever. Like I said, I don't like to name groups or whatever, but you know, for the people who don't really realize what's going on here, these are important videos to show them because this is extremely important. While they're basically accusing all of Trump supporters to be paid supporters going to all these rallies, here we clearly have evidence. And what's this guy doing with a piece in his side? I mean, seriously. And by the way, it's always a bad idea to stick a gun in your pants. That's just Bush League stuff right there. I'm just saying. Q says, see the gun tucked in the pants of the money man. Yeah, this was actually, this posted, I don't know, a couple weeks ago or whatever. And I saw it then too. And I remember just thinking it was super creepy. And I didn't comment because I guess it didn't surprise me that much because, of course, this is MS-13 and ISIS. They're using this too to traffic people, to traffic drugs in. They're going to try and get everything in. And a lot of you have made the point too, and I think it's important to bring up, this issue that happens at the border could end up getting shut down to keep some bad actors from getting out of the country. So as this plays out, it's going to get really, really interesting. Hopefully not too many people are going to get hurt. This is already an incredible situation. The world is watching. The sad thing is, like I've said, is that many of these guys are trafficking in children. And that's, I guess, what bothers me the most about all this is, you know, the children are always the one that suffer for all this stuff. But good things are happening. Like I said, if you can read the map, I would love to see even more blue get off of that map as we look to push for this final wave. But it's nice to have Q back. It's nice to have you back. Those are your Q posts for today. As always, if you liked this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. If you're new to my channel, please keep in mind that from time to time, you'll be unclicked and unliked and unsubscribed because that's how we play this game here. Social media likes to do that to make sure that we don't get together. Thanks to all of you who have been sharing my videos. I greatly appreciate it. Thanks to those of you who've been supporting my channel. It really means a lot, as this is quite a bit of work, but it is my absolute pleasure, and it's great to have some Q going on. So stay safe. All my links are down below. My Twitter, my BitChute, my Gab. Gab is down right now, by the way. Brighteon.com. And if you'd like to support the channel, my Patreon link is down below. I would greatly appreciate it. All the links are down below, and I'll leave you some of these links from this video too down below, so you can check it out. Okay, that's all I got for you today. This is Sir Patrick Mack, and until next time, stay safe.